Alright, so a lot of things have happened since the last time I tried to retake my world record after this new foe appeared named Lil Big Bob 40 came and took one of my records in 1.22. At first, this was just like a little thing. Like, this random guy came in, this random rookie, this random newcomer came in and only took one record. And, everything else is good. Like, he only took this one record, everything else is fine. I had these records for like over half a year, and this one random guy, he just came in and took one record just for goofs, just for gaffs, just for geefs, and everything was good. No worries at all. And by the end of this journey I fought tooth and nail and was able to get my record back. And peace was restored to the galaxy for a short amount of time. I laid back as I gazed at the sunset of a grateful universe. And then one day, he came back and the apocalypse happened. It was doomsday, Armageddon for our world. Speedrun.com became an apocalyptic wasteland for generations. I thought the battle was over and the victory was won. But then I had another run in a different category where you don't use boat or ket, and I was convinced that not a single person in this entire galaxy cared about this at all besides me, just fishing for any record I could possibly get, and had about 53 seconds. And then out of nowhere, like a thief in the night, he did the greatest twist in cinematic history and beat it by like 200th of a second. This random record that absolutely no one in this world cared about just came and beat it. And then on the same day, he beat the other record in that other category that I made an entire video about. And you can literally see in the beginning of the run, he was watching my video, he was studying it, taking notes on my run, dissecting it, inspecting every nook and cranny of the run, perfecting it, every jut and corner, every frame. So at this point, I was stunned, I was flabbergasted, I was befuddled. I lost both of the records that I had, and I didn't have any records in the game anymore. Within an instant, they were just all gone. I realized I still had the record holder rank in the Discord server, which is only supposed to go to people that actually hold records. And at this point, I didn't have any records anymore, so I technically shouldn't have even had it, but I wasn't going to mention that. I was stunned that he took both of my records, but I knew that I immediately just had to go back to work, go back into the lab, go back into the Thunderdome, and get my records back to where they truly belong. So I took back my original record with the no ket with the boat, which is the original record that I made that whole video on before, and then he beat that. Well, I beat that again first. I was able to get a pretty good boat launch, pretty much directly onto the key, and I was off to the breaks. It was going pretty good. I had some decently bad luck with the zombies here. I had to do like a little zigzag pattern there, a little hopscotch there to get past them, but it ended up being good and not really getting slowed down that much. And it ended up being 26,100, which was a pretty comfortable amount better than his 27,300. But only half of the job was done. I still knew I had another record to go. So I titled the video, One Down, One to Go. And later that day, I was able to take the record back with the no boat, no ket. Had a nice clean ketamine warp there. Clean warp on the ramp, right next to the key. Got up nice and quick, much faster than him at the time.
Wait, come on.
Mr.
No way.
Krabs, you are
No way.
finally
It might
here.
be because you got it
Now,
at 47
play
last
me in
time.
a coin toss to decide my fate.
Yes, you got it. 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 100%.
And just like that, peace had been restored once again. I had fought tooth and nail and I had gotten both my records back. Everyone was happy. I was gloating. I had fought and got my records back. And then it started to rain blood. I saw the moon turn red, the clouds turned pitch black, and the sky was falling. The very next day, he came back and beat the boatless no ket record again. He even called me out on the server just to gloat and brag about it to me for some wacky reason. And still to this day, I genuinely just do not understand how his run was better than mine, because I just looked at it from top to bottom and just did not look better. That warp right there, like the initial ketamine warp, to me, mine just looks objectively faster. And he just randomly just ran over to the right there, so that, like, ruins like hypotenuse or whatever, something like that, some kind of like straight line math antics or whatever. So for some wacky reason, I just don't get how there's like two things that should have made it slower right there, but for some odd reason it just was somehow faster. Then you go up to the ramp, that's like normal or whatever. Then look, he goes down. He spends 800 octillion years on the ground before he gets up. With my other run, I got up immediately after I got the key, but he was literally crouching for 8 generations before he actually got up and ran. He came down. He was crouching for 400 years. and he still somehow beat me. You know, he did a huge turn there, like not even remotely a straight line, but for some wacky reason, it somehow came up to be like 200 milliseconds faster than mine. For some odd reason, I was just flabbergasted. It just made no sense at all. But after dedicating my entire existence for the rest of that day to beat the record again, I was able to barely edge it out and beat it by about 200 milliseconds. I don't want to play the audio because there was like a blaring podcast that I was listening to in the background, and now I know if I'm gonna like somehow get demonetized, even though my videos aren't even monetized, or like get copyright striked and just have my channel just get absolutely obliterated. But you know, the thing is, I didn't even say anything when I beat the record here at first. I was stone cold. I meant business. The first time when I first beat it, me and my friends were celebrating, brought the entire town together, had an entire boil to celebrate this record taking back. But for this one, I was stone cold. I meant business. There was no time to celebrate. There was no time for fun and games. I brought out the supervillain to take this record back. And then after all that, peace was restored to the galaxy once again. I had taken back my records that were viciously snatched from me, and I had first place once again. But that's not it. 5 months ago, I made a video about what made Drippin's world record so hard to beat. And near the end, I talked about how the current any percent record with Bo and with Ket for 1.22 was 21 seconds, which would be extremely easy for me to take. And that record was easy pickings to take. So the same day I got it and beat it by 3 seconds and got 17 seconds 260. But then on that same night, for some wacky reason, before my original record even got accepted in, Jeezy came and beat it by over a second. And it would be very hard for me to beat that record because it was faster than the best time that I had ever gotten on 1.21 too. So I would have to get the best run that I ever had in my life. So I was going to give all the energy to the civil war that I was having with Lil Big Bob at the time, and then try and go back and beat the record after the dust cleared. So after fighting for my records again and having to break records for the 5th time total, I started to begin to do runs for the any percent for 1.22. Then after spending a few days grinding, I got the best launch of my entire life and grabbed the key at 5.5 seconds, which is by far better than anything I've ever had. And it was about the time where Drippin grabbed his key during his world record run, so it was about world record pace. At first the gauntlet goes very good, everything's going good, perfect, so straight away, and then just as soon as I get here, the zombies just have to do the wackiest movement of all time. Just the nanosecond before I get there, they just have to do the most sporadic movement the galaxy has ever seen. And I was just barely able to get past this zombie, I believe, but unfortunately, this one zombie came in from the right and just barely bumped me. And unfortunately, that was enough to hit me into this exact piece of plants and ruin the chances of me getting a sub 16. But even though I wasn't able to get a sub 16, it was still enough for me to beat Jeezy's record by about 200 milliseconds. So now at this point, I have 3 out of the 4 main records for 1.22. The only record that I haven't broken is the boatless one with Ket, but for some magical reason, it's just so much harder than any other category to me. The concept is the same as the same speedrun without Ket, which I already have the world record in, but for some reason it's just so much harder. You walk up the slope, you crouch onto that exact pad, and then with the no Ket version, you spam crouch and then you teleport right through the building. And that's the same thing that I mainly saw here. He went right through the building, and then he fell down. But no matter how many times I spam crouch when I got on top of the building, it just would not go down for the life of me. I spam the crouch button faster than probably any human has ever pressed a button before in human history. I probably spam crouch faster than people in task could spam, but for some odd reason it just will not go down. I'm telling you, man, it's the secret 9th wonder of the world. I'm sure that there's like some ancient forbidden tactic from like 5000 BC that I'll have to scrounge through the Discord server to find, or maybe there's going to be some bald elder waiting on top of a mountain for someone to find him for me to figure it out. But one way or another, I'll figure it out and I'll beat it. But that's for another day. And then once I do that, I will be the true emperor of 1.22. Right now, I'm still the king of 1.22 because, you know, I have 3 of the 4 records. But after I do that, I'll be the true emperor. I'll have all of the records. But then after I finish doing that, then I'm going to go for Drippin's 15.78 record and 1.21, which is definitely going to be very hard to do. Now, I wanted to be the person that was going to be like the first person to break his record after a year. Like, the game has been in this hiatus. No one has played the game for a year. And then out of nowhere, this guy called Vexo comes over and just breaks Strippin's record, jumps all the way from 8-1 in one fell swoop. But I better finish getting that other record quickly, because once I beat the 1.22 any percent record, I got noticed by a runner called Gaperm, who currently has the number 3 record. After he saw that, he immediately started running the game again after a year of going into a hiatus. He accidentally gets one of the runs that I have been dreaming of since I was a young lad, warps directly into the building, grabs it, then grabs the boat and launches toward the door. This is a run that I'd always been brainstorming, but I didn't think it was actually like possible or like actually feasible or reliable enough to actually try to do in real time. And he immediately did it the first time he came back into the game. Just the nanosecond he joined back, just immediately did something groundbreaking. Then on the same day, he casually got one of the best launches I've ever seen in my entire life and got a key grab faster than Drippin's. This would have easily been a world record, but he unfortunately got blocked by like the defensive linemen of zombies here and stopped him from going through the rest of the hallway. And if you look through the hallway, like, I mean, it's a pretty good hallway. I mean, there's a decent chance if he got through this, he could have had a record. So I need to move quickly or else this guy's gonna get the record before me, man. He came back for one day after not playing the game for an entire year and immediately got a pace of 15.6. I'm telling you, man, this guy just revolutionizes the game whenever he wants for fun. On his channel, you can see him getting so many key grabs at like 5.5 seconds, it's insane. And that's just on his channel. Imagine what he's done without recording. He even optimized the game even more so that he's like practically only using his mouse. He rebinded his jump to his middle mouse button for some odd reason, and rebinded his slow mode from Z to right click. So when you watch his runs, instead of hearing a keyboard like a normal person, you're hearing like 50,000 different kinds of clicks on his mouse. Most diverse assortment of clicks I've ever heard in my entire life. And I swear in every single video I always see him do a launching technique that I've never seen a single person do before. He's changing the angle at which he clicks the bow, he's changing his click patterns, bro, and somehow they're all still super consistent. It's like LeBron James going to different NBA teams and winning championships on all of them, except with ketamine and boats. Bro, you can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. Right as I was editing this video 35 seconds ago, he just casually gets one of the fastest keys of all time. This man is casually getting some of the best launches the game has ever seen. Look at that. This shouldn't even be legal, man. He was born to do this, man, I swear. There's just ketamine flowing through his veins. This guy is just built different, man. I have to move quickly, bro. It's a battle of wits out here.